Niggas give me heebie-jeebies.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amanda. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Make sure, if you already like me already, which you should, make sure to like. You can like the video beforehand, I'm fine with that. Make sure to subscribe and turn on my post notifications if you're feeling so generous. So today's video, it's another get ready with me. Literally, what else is new? This is the only content I film. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the importance of Black-owned beauty supply stores because of some recent shenanigans on the timeline. So most of my videos are based on things that happened on Twitter, and a couple, was it yesterday or was it the day before? I'm filming this on Saturday, November 9th. I think it was 2 days ago or yesterday, where this Black woman who just opened a beauty supply store tweeted, and she was like, come to my beauty supply store, and she was like, stop going to the Asians for your beauty supply needs. And there was a lot of backlash with this tweet. A lot of Asian people especially were saying that's subtle racism, you can't say stuff like that. And I just wanted to, I shared some of my thoughts on Twitter, but I just wanted to like share my more like put together research thoughts on here and to get ready with me. There's so many issues. I know it wasn't just one person who quote tweeted it saying like subtle racism or whatever, it was multiple. There's so many issues with looking at what she tweeted about why she opened a Black owned like beauty supply store through one lens. There's so many issues with just looking at her tweet and what she said and not understanding the actual history that has gone into beauty supply stores and why Black women or Black people who shop at beauty supply stores don't feel comfortable at a store made for them. So what I'm gonna do is I had to do some I knew some of this stuff, but I like to research. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I found out a lot of stuff that I did not know about beauty supply stores and like where this all started from. So I think ask any Black woman, they're perfectly aware most beauty supply stores are Asian owned, and specifically owned by Koreans, Korean immigrants and Korean Americans. That discrepancy, there's not a lot of data done on that, but Korean people own most beauty supply stores in America. So I've known that for a very long time, but I'm like curious as to why. So here's the reason why. So there was this wig making company, like humongous company that got like really booming in the 1960s in Korea. And by Korea, we obviously mean South Korea. And they were doing really, really well. And they had a lot of Black clients. So what they did, what these wig merchants, as I'm gonna call them, did, is they convinced the entire Korean government to outlaw the export of raw hair from Korea. What that basically means is that you can't just buy the hair that they're selling. You have to, did I just go down over my brow? Hold on. No, it's fine. You can't just buy the hair from these merchants. You have to buy the products that they make. And not only did they do that, in like literally a couple of months later, the United States government banned all like wigs made in China in this country. This was around the 1960s. I'm not a history buff, but I think there was some issues going on with China at the time. But the United States government banned all wigs or hair from China. So what did that do? Now Korea can now like monopolize the market of wig and Black hair because no other hair is allowed to be exported to the United States. So something that I wanted to break out, because this is not just a wig manufacturing company. Koreans own like every process that goes into wig making or hair making. Koreans own, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of like selling, in terms of retail. They own they own almost every single part of it. So now they have, this is like 1960s, they have the prime opportunity to exploit a market. They're selling to people that are not them, but they now have this opportunity to completely exploit the market. And of course, that's what they did. Like, business, like, what are we going to do? Ooh, So because Koreans own every aspect of hair and black hair and black making, they are able to now, fast forward to now, when black people are trying to create their own beauty supply stores, because Korean people have been owning this for such a long time, they own all the distributors and all those distributing channels that black store owners would need to keep their store, like, you know, running. So because they owed all of them, and, you know, anti-blackness, some people literally refuse to sell to black beauty supply store owners. And there are some, I was reading a couple articles, and there's a woman, she was like, yeah, my main competition is down the street and they are run by Korean people, and there are some brands that I'm not allowed to get that they are allowed to get. And she didn't notice until she went to their store and was like, wait, I thought we weren't allowed to receive this brand. And then she put two and two together and said, oh, the yummy taste of anti-blackness. We love, it tastes so tart and that's what she realized. And I think because black women, I think we all know this, black hair is $1 trillion. I was gonna say billion, but I think it's more than that. It's an incredible money-making industry. And we saw that black people spend the most money in beauty and fashion realms. And because they had started exploiting this market so long ago, they've always been in charge. Non-black people have been selling black stuff to black people for, when was it, like decades, many decades. Let's let this out. And because most of these distribution channels are owned by Korean people, and due to, you know, anti-blackness in a lot of Asian communities, they're not able to get the stuff. They're like, can you imagine owning a business and you're literally not able to buy the things you need to sell? Because that's what a business is you selling something. You're not able to purchase the things you are trying to sell because the distributor won't sell it to you because you're black. You're trying to sell black hair products to black people, but the distributor won't sell to you, a black person, because you're black. Ludicrous. That's what that is. Like, it's in, like that. If you really think about it, that's crazy. That is, like that is absolutely wild. So I found a statistic. As of 2010, there were over 9,000. That's so much powder. Whoa. There were over 9,000 Korean-owned beauty supply stores, and that number is it's speculation to have at least doubled or tripled since 2010. That was 9 years ago. That would be 10 years ago. Like, there are people on the internet, there hasn't been a study done in a while, are saying it's probably tripled by now. Oh, that was so much powder. Oh, geez. This Fenty powder is kind of like insane with how good it does. You don't need a lot, and I just put so much on. It smells so good though. I don't know how they make it smell so good. Anyway, what I was talking about in terms of when people were talking about that tweet, and I was like, so the reason you can't just look at what she said through that one lens is you need to understand you have to understand the anti-blackness that has come from these communities for a very long time. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard, or maybe you haven't, of the case of Latasha Harlins. She was because she was murdered. This 15-year-old girl, this was around the time, like right around the time of the LA riots. She was shot in the head by a Korean store owner because the store owner thought she was stealing a jug of orange juice. Now, a jug of orange juice today would cost about $3, maybe. I don't know if that's expensive or like not, but I think if I were like at home in New York and went to go buy a jug of orange juice, even out here, it would cost about $3. Probably back then it cost like 15 cents. So this woman shot this 15-year-old girl in the back of the head. Shot her in the back of the head because she thought she was stealing a jug of oranges. Not even like a jug, like literally like the ones you get in elementary school, in lunch, in cafeteria time. That's what she thought she was stealing, and she shot her in the back of the head. So this woman was convicted of voluntary manslaughter. However, I'm pretty sure I should have looked this up. Let me look it up right now. Because I think she got like 1 year in prison. She got something that like Latasha Harlins. Okay, so. Is so much worse than I thought it was. So the woman, her name is Sun Ja-du, was convicted of voluntary manslaughter. Manslaughter is the one that's under murder. It's like there was no intent. Kind of, that's what, in a general term, that's what manslaughter means. It means like you didn't, or like whatever. She was fined $500 and sentenced to 5 years of probation and 400 hours of community service, and she got absolutely no prison time. While I spray my face, I would like you to marinate on what I just said. Are you thinking? Because I sure am. Because I thought it was 1 year in prison. I think I can speak to all the people over the age of 17 who are watching me. I think we all know, like $500 is like a lot of money, but if you really think about it, it's really not that much money for a fine. Like $500 is really not that much money. Like you can spend, if you have the means, you can spend $500 in like a span of 3 hours. That is crazy. 5 years of probation and 400 hours of community service. I'm pretty sure those people who cheated their way and to get people into like Ivy Leagues and stuff are gonna get like 400 hours of community service, and they didn't even kill nobody. I am shocked. This happened around the time of the LA riots in like the 1990s in LA. That wasn't that long ago. Like that wasn't that long ago. These ideas and these like beliefs that these people have clearly still exist today. And then we get into, every couple of months there's something that happens with like Asian owned businesses and black people. It's just always a back and forth between not recognizing the anti-blackness. That's what with a lot of non-black people of color, they're unable to recognize that their communities do have anti-blackness in them. And of course black people can say rude things about other like races of color, but if you're unable to recognize why what you're doing or saying is anti-black, then we can't have this people of color solidarity. If you're unable to rectify and change the anti-black and work to change the anti-blackness in your community, we can't have people of color solidarity. We can't have that. It doesn't exist if you're unable to recognize what's wrong in your system. We can't, you can't have it. You can't have it both ways. So like last year, do you guys remember when these two black women, I think it was a grandma and her granddaughter or something, went to a nail salon and literally got chemically attacked by the women in the nail salon, the workers? They threw acetone on them. That, I don't know what the exact parameters are for a chemical attack, but it's a chemical. But I mean, water's a chemical too, so like, but I'm pretty sure that would classify as a chemical attack. You know, the usual, just trying to get your nails done. Attacked. And what started this whole conversation, I think it was last year, was at a hair salon. No, sorry, not a beauty supply store. The Asian man working behind the counter called one of the shoppers the N-word. And people were mad at the people in the store because they still went and bought stuff because they were in the store. So they're like, we're gonna get what we came here for. And they were like, why didn't you just leave? And I said, and people were on Twitter were saying, we're like, that's everywhere. You have anti-black people selling black products to black people due to the history I mentioned before. When they have owned everything since the 1960s. And even though black people are trying to oh geez, I just ruined this. Even though black people are trying to create black-owned beauty supply stores, until we get a black-owned distribution channel, I don't even know, man. And let's just discuss how, oh, this feels so good. How weird it is. Hold on. Let's just discuss just how strange it is that we are getting products that are, so I'm talking to myself, I'm getting products made for me, for my hair, for me as a black woman, sold to me by someone who will never experience that. Someone when I go to the beauty supply, I haven't been in a while, but when I go to the beauty supply store, I'm buying stuff that is meant for my hair, that is meant for me, that's made for me. And it's being sold by someone who has never experienced what I go through, will never. Also, baseline doesn't have the same hair as I do. So how am I supposed to function in such a setting? How am I, if I'm someone who like doesn't know a lot about hair, has a lot of questions, and I go to the beauty supply store, am I to ask them these questions about black hair that they don't have? What am I to do? And when we go to beauty supply stores, we get followed around like criminals in a store that is supposed to be meant for, in a store that is literally only selling things meant for me. I get followed around in the store. There have been so many, literally on Twitter is my, search on Twitter, followed around a beauty supply store. You will get hundreds, thousands of black women telling their stories about getting followed around in a store that is meant for me. But the reason I'm getting followed around is because the people who own it aren't me. They don't like me. That is so, you can't go shopping for your own hair. The stuff that naturally grows out of your scalp, you can't go shopping for it without being racially profiled in a space that's supposed to be safe, because it's literally for black women and black people. You can't even feel safe there. It is so, it is buck wild how people who don't have, I'm just stuck on like the basic fundamentals of it. It's someone selling you a product they wouldn't use on themselves. Like that's what I think what's what I'm still stuck on. How are you gonna sell a product that you wouldn't use yourself because you can't use it? How are you selling that product? Like that's what these beauty supply stores are, is they're selling a product they cannot use. And I think when you're a business owner, if you're not able to use your products, are you really selling them that well? And that gets into the point of like, they don't have to do much. They kind of just have to sit in the store and the products will sell themselves. But it's supposed to, I feel like a beauty supply store is supposed to be an experience. Supposed to go in, feel welcomed, feel like, oh my God, I'm in my like favorite place, supposed to shop. It's like a candy, it's like a kid in a candy store. And you don't get that experience when you're being followed around by the manager because he thinks you're stealing a dollar pair of earrings. It's just so interesting. They're selling products that they cannot use. Not that they cannot use, but that they don't use. And another issue that I saw when I was reading a bunch of articles, researching for this video, I'll just do my eyeshadow while I'm here actually. I'm using the Pat McGrath Mothership 5 palette. We're more a little bit bougie here. It's stunning. I use this in my Jack Diana palette I use every day that I do makeup. So like not every day, like once a week. Another thing that I found, an article that was talking about the concern of this, is they were saying, they're like, well, the people who own these stores don't live in the community. So the money that is being spent at these stores, which is a lot of money, black hair is $1 billion industry, is not going back into the community. And they were like, if it was going back into the communities, helping the neighborhood, paying the taxes, going to the school, etc., 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 it would be helpful and it'd be beneficial for black people. But because the owners do not live in these neighborhoods, they're literally making the profit and leaving. They're selling their products to black people, making money off of black people, and dipping. And there's a lot of issues with that. So yeah, think about that before you just quote tweet. I think people, before they quote tweet and respond to a lot of tweets, need to really, you know, like think before they just say nonsense. Like, why would you tweet that if you haven't thought about a black woman's experience in a beauty supply store when she feels unwelcome in her own space? We are unwelcome in our own space. Before you tweet out of your literal butthole, use some common sense or something. But you know, not everyone has that, apparently. This is the Pat McGrath mascara. I don't wear I'm going to a birthday thing, lunch, maybe. I don't know what it's called. So I don't feel like wearing lashes, so I'll just wear mascara. Yeah, that's buck wild. I just got really angry because it's crazy. We're not we get our own space, and then turns out someone else owns the entire thing. Turns out someone else owns the entire thing and they don't like your existence in your own space being there. Isn't that crazy? Or is that just me? Life as a black woman. I'm just gonna do my lips real quick. Like, I want you guys to tell me in the comments what you think. If you thought all those quote tweets, and also mind you, a lot of the quote tweets calling that woman who's owning her own store, calling her racist, a lot of those tweets use the word blacks in them. Isn't that intriguing? Just say it with your chest. Just say it with your, just say it. I know you want to say it. I know you want to say it. Just say it. Say it with your chest so I can get you out of here and move on. Fussy Gloss, my new favorite. I can't believe I thought I wouldn't like it because it was pink. I do. I'm a fool. Anyway. Fussy Gloss. Dior Lip Maximizer because, you know, bourgeois. So, that's the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm really like mad and sad now. Just it's a real experience. If you're not a black woman, it's a real experience being like shut out or not welcome in a space that's supposed to be inherently made for you. It's just a very disheartening experience. So I would like to hear what you guys think. Let me know what you think about the situation and situations like it in the comments down below. If you're a black woman, speak from your own experience. If you're not, you can share, I guess, something. Don't be rude, because I will delete. I am literally not afraid to delete comments. I am the least scared person of strangers on the internet. I will delete your comment and report it. Like, this is not a joke. So thank you guys so much for watching and supporting me, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Make sure to like and subscribe and watch some other ones. They might be on the screen somewhere. Thank you guys so much again. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.